Let's look at some materials from the textbook cutting edge advanced level. So let's work with some texts. About the first one will be about urbanization. Humans are good at building cities. After all, we've been doing it for 9 millennia. But a few years ago, for the first time in history, we officially became an urban species. More of us now live in cities than in the countryside. That's over 3.5 billion people, and this global trend is heading ever upwards. Experts believe that by 2050, 7 billion of us will be living in an urban environment, and the numbers just keep rising. The speed and scale of this change is unprecedented. Just to keep up with demand, we are currently building a new city the size of Washington, D.C. every 3 days. Building more of the same, however, is just a temporary solution, as fast growing cities bring them numerous issues such as overcrowding, slum housing, congestion, crime, pollution, and more. Part of the problem is that despite the number of people they house, cities only occupy 3% of the Earth's land surface. That's an awful lot of people to fit into such a small space, and most cities just weren't designed to cope. Sao Paulo, for example, suffers traffic jams of up to 180 kilometers on a bad day, and everywhere from Abu Dhabi to Zurich, limited availability and unlimited demand are driving property prices sky high. In turn, this is leading to a massive global growth in slum housing. In Dhaka, for example, the capital of Bangladesh, and a city which will soon be bigger than Beijing or Mexico City, 60% of residents live in shanty towns. So, what, if anything, can be done about urbanization? Perhaps the solution is to knock down our old cities and start again. City planners are always coming up with harebrained schemes like this, and the famous French architect and designer Le Corbusier was no exception. He devised a plan in the 1920s to demolish the center of Paris to make space for a series of high rise buildings. To Le Corbusier, this was just a sensible solution in the dirt and squalor of Paris at the time, but had he succeeded, it is doubtful that Paris would be attracting nearly 30 million tourists a year as it is today. Demolishing and rebuilding cities to meet modern needs is clearly impractical, so what are the alternatives? The brand new city of Songdo in South Korea in the more historic city of Medellin in Colombia offer two exciting but contrasting visions of how to cope with the problems of urbanization. Another text. Adriana from Buenos Aires studied English for 9 years at school, but has never had the opportunity to use the language in real life. She has just been offered a job with an international company and has been told that she will be using English on a daily basis to answer the phone, to communicate with English speaking colleagues, and to attend meetings in English. She is very anxious as she doesn't feel that the English she learned at school prepared her for this aspect of her new job. She has 2 months before the new job starts and plenty of time, but not much money. David is 26-year-old and qualified as a chef, but cannot find a job in his own country. His girlfriend has found a job in Germany. David has joined her there, and they are staying with some cousins for a few months while he finds a job. He learned German for several years at school, but has forgotten a lot of it and needs to improve his communication skills quickly before he can get the kind of job he would like. He does not have much money to spend on language lessons. Kareem from Jordan is planning to do a master's degree in business studies at an Australian university in a couple of years' time. His English is fairly good and he is attending a special course in academic writing to help him with essays in English. But he needs to be able to read in English much more fluently, and to do this, he needs to improve his vocabulary dramatically. He will also have to understand lectures in English and, of course, communicate and socialize in his everyday life. Asha studied Russian for 5 years at school in London and spent 4 weeks on a study exchange program in Moscow. She understands, speaks, and reads Russian pretty well and is keen to keep it up and improve. She is sure that it will be useful to her one day, although she is not exactly sure how yet. She cannot afford to pay for expensive lessons at a language school and is busy with a demanding university course. Akiko is 33 and from Tokyo. She has just moved to San Francisco with her husband, who has got a job in a company there. She has started English lessons, but they mainly focus on grammar and vocabulary, and as she studied English for 8 years at school in Japan, she already knows a lot of this in theory. The problem is that her listening skills and spoken English are not very good. She would like to get out and get to know people, communicate with her daughter's teachers and friends, and even perhaps study, but she really lacks confidence in English. People think she is shy, but this is not really the case. How spending has changed for the average American, 1949 versus the present day. Food, housing, clothing, transport, recreation, medical care. Jasmine is in her early 30s and has a stressful, highly paid job. She often works late into the evening and at weekends. Then she can't sleep and ends up working even longer hours because she is being unproductive. She hardly has any time for a social life or relationship and often feels lonely. Yara is a student in her second year at university, living away from home. She doesn't have many lectures and spends most of her time in her college room on her laptop, eating snacks. She is putting on weight, feels a bit depressed, and is losing her confidence. Ray had a busy career for 35 years, but now he has retired and unfortunately his wife died last year. His children have grown up and live far away. He feels lonely and depressed and does not know how to fill his time. Operation Educate. Operation Educate is an international charity aiming to provide buildings and essential equipment to schools in poor areas around the world. To raise money and to increase its public profile and status, the charity is organizing a celebrity safari track from the northern coast to the southern tip of Africa, which will be featured regularly on daytime TV. Hopefully, this will attract lots of media coverage and large donations from the public. 6 celebrities will cross the continent in a trip lasting 2 months. They will drive a 4x4 and camp or sleep in huts at night, with only basic facilities for much of the trip, and there will also be regular canoeing and trekking, some of it over rough terrain, so a moderate to good level of fitness is required. Basic survival training will be provided, as well as guides for special parts of the trip, but for much of the 2 months, the group will be driving, navigating, and living by themselves. They will also film themselves, and one of them will be responsible for reporting back to the media at home. This person could make an important difference to the overall amount of money raised. It is important from the point of view of image and sponsorship that no one drops out of the track and that the group is seen to function as a team. There will be a group leader who will be responsible for dealing with unforeseen problems, conflicts within the group, etc. The highlight of the trip will be a 4-day climb up Mountain Kilimanjaro to be undertaken by 3 of the celebrities in the company of a camera crew. This will feature on numerous TV shows and will undoubtedly have the greatest impact in terms of publicity and fundraising. The celebrities undertaking the climb will need good to excellent levels of fitness. Freddie Finn, 55. DJ and TV presenter, a household name with powerful connections in the media. His jokey, jovial manner makes him very popular with the public, but behind the scenes he has a reputation for being overbearing and egocentric. He famously smoked heavily, but since suffering from a heart attack 3 years ago, he has taken up power walking, and his doctors say that he is fit enough to make the trip. Viv Shepherd, professional cyclist, popular with the public since her surprise Olympic gold medal win last year. Those who know her describe her as sweet-natured but highly strung and psychologically fragile. She has had well-publicized emotional problems in the past. Super fit. Mo Sharif, ex-charity worker and journalist who is now chief foreign correspondent on the national news. Known to the public for his high-profile reports on the plight of children in war zones and an expert on African affairs, he has well-known left-wing views. Colleagues describe him as level-headed and highly intelligent, but he is also known to be impatient, and some people claim he is arrogant. He has publicly expressed his contempt for celebrity culture and people who appear in celebrity magazines. He says he is quite fit, but does not do any regular exercise. Ricky Love, extremely popular comedian with an excellent TV manner. He is said by friends to be as easygoing and fun in private as he is on TV. He is known for his charity work, especially with children, and has appeared in a number of previous TV fundraising events. He is, however, considerably overweight and does not exercise. Bishop Martin Okoro, internationally renowned figure, respected by people of all religions for the way in which he has promoted peace and tolerance. His courtesy and good humor have made him a favorite on TV too. The bishop is passionate about education in developing countries, and his association with the project would bring real international kudos. He has no known health problems apart from high blood pressure and is said to be fit and energetic for his age. His other commitments mean that he could only join the trip for the first months. Apricot Albany, daughter of an internationally famous rock guitarist and his supermodel wife. Apricot is famous for being famous. In the past, she has had well-publicized problems with drugs and alcohol, but is said to have been clean for the last 9 months, and for the last 2 months has been working as a charity volunteer in India. If she is chosen for the celebrity track, her father has promised to perform a free concert in aid of Operation Educate, which would be of considerable value to the fundraising and publicity efforts. She cannot drive and has been quoted as saying that she hates all forms of sport and fitness. She is currently dating the ex-fiancé of Angelique. Okay, so those are some useful materials I found in this book. Thank you for watching.